Hello and welcome back to Digital Geekery. Today we're going to be looking at PowerToys for Windows 10. PowerToys for Windows 10 is just a small script that can do fancy zones, file explorer previews, image resizer, can do some keyboard management, power renaming, and our Power Toys essentially. So what we're going to do is this is the GitHub page. We're just going to go down to the supported 64-bit version, and we're going to download the exe. And once we get that downloaded, we're going to just jump right into the video and try and get this installed. Now that it's downloaded, we'll just navigate to where we installed it or downloaded it to, and let's install it. And we'll just let that run through now and copy all the files over onto our system here. Now that it's finished, we'll just click on the finish button. And to launch the program, we'll just go into our start menu and we'll click on PowerToys. So one of the best features in PowerToys is the actual shortcuts. So if you hold down your Windows key just for a couple of seconds, you can see that you can get a list of common shortcuts here on the right. Also, you can move windows around using the arrow keys, and you'll notice numbers down here at the bottom. Essentially, it just creates shortcuts. So if I press Windows and E, it'll open up File Explorer, and File Explorer opens. If I wanted to go back to our shortcuts, so let's say I wanted to swap between windows. If I press the Windows key and the number 2, for example, it'll bring me to Opera. So it's opened up Opera. If I press Windows and 1, it'll bring up the File Explorer again, and Windows and 3 will bring up Color Picker. So it's just essentially shortcuts that we can use to open and control the PC a lot quicker. If I press Windows and M, it'll minimize everything and we're back to the screen. So that is what the shortcut feature looks like in PowerToys. Another useful feature of PowerToys is the fancy zones. So you can enable the fancy zones here, and you can go on to launch fancy zones editor. For the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to be using the template. However, you can draw your own custom fancy zones with boxes all around the screen, and you can add on apply. At the minute, all my tiles are pulled onto the fancy zones. I just pull them off, and what you can do is just snap all your tiles onto the fancy zones, so you can have more things opened on your screen, and it's easier accessible, and you can use fancy zones like this. Fancy zones is very useful. I use it on a daily basis, and the fancy zones custom editor layout allows you to draw as many custom fancy zones as you like. Just play around with this and you'll be able to work out what you need to do. For example, if you wanted to create a new custom fancy zone, you would just go on the edit, create a new custom fancy zone, and you can resize it to whatever size you like, and hit save and apply. You can also name it your zone to whatever you like, save and apply, and you can apply that custom fancy zone. Now I can drag my screen into the custom fancy zone. That is fancy zones essentially. You can go through some of the settings on fancy zones and change some of these settings if you like. Moving on, so another useful feature is bulk renaming images or any files for that matter. One of the first things you need to do though is go to view and make sure file name extension is ticked on. It can be buggy if file name extension is not ticked on, then when you rename these files it can lose their extension, therefore the files can stop working. So just make sure we have that on. What you need to do is just highlight the files that you want to rename, right click and go to Power Rename. Now what you can do is search for what you want to replace in each file. So for example, if I just write bg dash up here, so bg dash, and then what I want to replace it with, so I'll just write a new. So you can see down here at the bottom of the screen that it's going to rename bg, it's going to take out the bg dash and rename it new in front where the bg dash would have been. You don't need to put any of this on for this example, however you can use these for when you're renaming anything else, and you can just hit on rename, and you can notice right away that the images have all renamed to what we set it to do. Moving on to the next tool. So the next feature is File Explorer Preview. To get this feature to work, you just need to enable it. What I have here is the PowerToys GitHub downloaded. When you first use this, what you'll need to do is go to View and make sure Preview panel is turned on, and you can click on .md files and you'll get a preview to the side as to what it is rather than having to open them up. And you can go through a list of everything and it'll tell you what it is. So that is essentially what File Explorer Preview does. Moving on now to the next one. So the next feature is Image Resizer. What you can do is come to Image Resizer and make sure it's enabled. There's a list of preset image sizes which you can change, or you can add your own. Encoding will be JPEG. You can change these to whatever you would like, and you can change the image quality, and down at the bottom you can use auto renaming. So the settings is on the screen there now, and you can see that you can rename the pictures after resizing. How to use this feature is simple. You come over to the image and you right click on it and you hit resize pictures. Within this you have your list of pre-selected image sizes, or you can do a custom fit. So I'm just going to change this to small and hit on resize, and you can see it's automatically resized this image, renamed it, and I can open it up again then, and it's a smaller sized image. So it's just a quick way to resize images on the go rather than having to use any photo editing software. So moving on to the next tool. Keyboard Manager is the next setting inside PowerToys. What you can do is essentially remap keys and remap shortcuts. This is a feature I never often used. However, what you can do is go in here and you can select from a list of keys and you can remap it to a different key. For example, if I were to press the letter A and then hit OK, and then the next time I press the letter A I want it to show the letter B, you can click OK and apply this, and continues anyway. So now if I just open up a notepad and I press the letter A, I'm getting the letter B. If I press the letter B, I'll get the letter B as well. So essentially you're just remapping keys. You would do this obviously if you wanted to make different shortcuts for yourself. I don't think you would actually want to remap your letters around. However, that is essentially what Keyboard Manager does. Moving on to the next one. So the PowerToys Run is a feature I use quite often. Once you've enabled, you can change the hotkeys for this, but it's Alt and Space essentially what you can do. So if you press Alt and Space, you'll get this search bar or this search box on your screen, and you can type in whatever you want, and you can run straight away. You can also search for CMD, and it's just a quick way of launching programs rather than having to go down and start down here. So Alt and Space, and you can search for almost anything you like when on your computer. It is a feature I use quite often. You can enable or disable this, and you can change the hotkeys too as well. So that is PowerToys Run. Moving on to the next one. So the shortcut guide is the last feature here on PowerTools. We will come back to color picker in just a second. I've left that to last. But the shortcut guide will essentially just let you change where you want your shortcuts. So as I showed you before, you would hold down your Windows key and your shortcuts would come up. At the minute I've set it to Windows default. You can change this to dark mode and hold down your Windows shortcuts. You can also change the speed and the duration that it shows up for. So if I drag this up, it'll just take a wee bit longer to actually load up. Or if you want it to load up quicker, you can bring it much down and load it up quicker. Also, you can change the opacity of the background, so you can get rid of the background completely, or you can have it all the way up so it blocks out everything. But that is shortcut guide. Now moving back to color picker. Essentially what color picker does is let you use or pick colors throughout your computer, and you can pick them in different color code settings. So this would be particularly good for designers, I would imagine. So if you just press the Windows Shift C button, you get this wee tool that pops up under your mouse, and you can instantly, if you've seen a color on an image that you actually like and you thought, oh, I like that, you can just press that and you can instantly get the color codes for this. Then you can copy it straight to clipboard, and you can then move over to wherever you want to use that color code in and paste it straight in. So color code picker, I would imagine, will come in handy for anybody doing graphic design or anything like that. It'd just be a lot quicker to find a color code rather than having to open up any Photoshop or image editing software. So now that we've walked through PowerToys, essentially we went through each one of these and then we've told you what each one does. There is some of these that I would use on a daily basis, however there is some that I probably would never use. Um, Essentially that's what PowerToys Tools does. If you want to download it and try it out for yourself, by all means go ahead, I'll leave a link in the description. Until next time, thanks.